Welcome back to United Minds Collective Podcast. This is United Minds Studio, and this is where our minds are always better together. I am Pamela Watkins, and here we explore how we grow, thrive, and elevate as individuals and as a community. Let's dive in. I want to ask you something before we even get started today. When is the last time you walked out of a room and felt more like yourself than when you walked in? I'm serious. Think about it. Because I went a long time without being able to answer that question honestly. And the crazy part, I didn't even realize it was happening. For a good stretch of time, my weekends looked the exact same. Same people, same bar, same drinks, same energy every single weekend. And I want to be clear, there was love in those rooms, real love, people who genuinely cared about one another. But here's what I eventually had to get honest with myself about. That love never followed me home. The moment I walked out of those doors, it stayed right there at the bar with everyone else. And I kept going back. Not because it was building me, but because it was comfortable. It was familiar. And if I'm being honest with myself, it was a real distraction. I was procrastinating on purpose and calling it living my life. My spirit had been trying to tell me that for a while. I just wasn't ready to listen. There's also someone in that circle who I now understand was probably threatened by my presence. Someone who introduced me to those rooms to begin with. As my light started to shine a little brighter, the comments started coming. Subtle things, the kind of things that don't sound like attacks, but land like them. For a minute, they worked. I started questioning myself. I started believing the antics. But I had to sit back and realize, people who are truly secure don't go out of their way to make you feel small. That was never about me. That was about someone who couldn't handle watching my light outshine theirs in rooms they brought me into. I stopped engaging with that energy, and something in me shifted. But honestly, the real shift didn't come until I got intentional about it. I want to talk about something I think deserves way more honest conversation, especially in spaces like this one. Plant medicine. And before I go any further, I want to be very clear. This was not recreational for me. This was intentional. This was sacred. I sat with it on purpose, with purpose, to get clarity on things that my spirit had already been telling me. Things that my spirit knew, but my mind kept overriding. Because here's the truth. I had already been feeling the nudge to go within and leave environments that stopped serving my growth. My body knew. My spirit knew. But I kept talking myself out of it. I kept showing up to the same cycles. So one night, I sat with the medicine alone, intentionally, with the specific intention of getting honest about my life and what needed to change. And what came through was as clear as day. Step back. Something better for you is already waiting. It wasn't a voice from outside of me. It was the deepest parts of me finally being loud enough to be heard. And this is where the neuroscience is so important, because what plant medicine does at its core is quiet what's called the default network mode in the brain. That's the part of your brain that keeps you on autopilot. The part that keeps looping you back into the same patterns, environments, and cycles, even when those cycles are clearly not serving you. When that network quiets down, even temporarily, you can finally hear the truth that your subconscious mind has been drowning out with busyness, distractions, and I'll deal with it later. And the truth for me was, it was time for me to ditch old habits. But here's the part I think is the most important thing I could say about plant medicine, and honestly, any kind of healing work. Receiving the wisdom is only half of it. You have to integrate it, because I've done plant medicine before and received clear downloads and then went right back to doing exactly what I was doing, hoping things would just change on their own somehow. They never did, and they won't. Not without integration. Integration is the actual work. It's taking what you received in that sacred space and physically walking through the doors it showed you. It's making the decision every single day to actually live differently, because the medicine can show you the path, but you have to be the one to walk it. After this particular ceremony, I made a decision. Whatever came up, I was going to do it. I wasn't going to receive clarity, then talk myself out of it like I had before. I wasn't going to get confirmation on everything my spirit had already been saying, then ignoring. I integrated. I cut off unhealthy habits. I stopped putting myself in environments that required me to dim my light to belong. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking. I started protecting my weekends like they were sacred, because they are. And something I didn't even expect happened almost immediately. The moment I created space, things started moving. A project I had been building toward for a while finally got an official date. I started going to the gym consistently. I found myself at a community bonfire, painting, standing around a fire, grounding with people who were genuinely on a spiritual journey. People I'd never met before, but felt completely at home with. And here's the part I really want to sit with, because this is where it gets real. There were women around me that I just felt a little off around, and I kept calling it intimidation. Like maybe I was just shy or like unsure of myself. But the more I sat with it now, the more I think my spirit was reading their energy before my mind actually caught up. Because when I finally did connect with them, it felt familiar, and not in a good way. In a I've been here before kind of way. Same cycles, different settings. And that's when I understood elevation isn't about the status of the room you're in. It's about whether the room is actually growing you. Some rooms look different on the outside, but if they're pulling you back into patterns you fought your way out of, that is not elevation. That's just the same thing wearing a different face. That's what integration after plant medicine ceremony does. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes how you see. Here's what I need you to understand about your environment. It is not neutral. Every room you walk into is either pulling you towards your higher self or pulling you away from it. Neuroscience actually backs this up. There's a concept called emotional contagion, which basically means we mirror the emotional states of people we spend the most time with, unconsciously, automatically. Your nervous system is always reading the room and adjusting to match it. So if your environment is low vibrational, if the people around you are content staying exactly where they are, if those spaces are built around numbing rather than growing, your nervous system starts to accept that as normal. Here's why that matters for manifestation. Your manifestations cannot land in a body that is stuck in survival mode. The universe responds to your frequency, and your frequency is shaped more than anything else by your environment. You cannot think your way into a higher frequency while surrounding yourself with everything that's keeping you low. At some point, you have to physically move. So here's your reflection for this episode. I want you to get honest about the rooms you're spending the most time in. Not just the physical rooms, but the friendships, the conversations, the content you're consuming, the habits you're showing up to every single week. Ask yourself one question. Does the love in this room follow me home? That's it. And now, here's your experiment before episode 4 drops. Say no to one thing your spirit has already been saying no to. One room, habit, invitation, or conversation. And then pay attention to what shows up in that space. Because when you remove what's draining you, something aligned always rushes in to fill it. Come back and tell me what happened. Drop it in the comments, slide into my DMs, book a voice session if you want to go deeper. We're doing this together. Your environment is either elevating you or draining you. There's no in between. You deserve to be in rooms where your light doesn't just survive, it expands. If you're looking for extra support on your journey, be sure to check out my behavior intervention toolkit. It's right here on the table, full of resources to help you along the way. And if you want something more personal, my one-on-one voice support sessions are available for those deeper, guided conversations. If this episode resonated with you, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it, because it truly helps more people find this community, and that's what we're here for. Thank you for tuning in to United Minds Collective Podcast. I'm Pamela Watkins, and remember, this is where our minds are always better together. I can't wait to continue growing with you.